Okay, here's a quick Grand Forks story about the time that we wined and dined in '69 an editor from Time Magazine for Kids. And then, like, 10 minutes after he left our house, the city came and shut off our water. Okay, so when I lived in Grand Forks, this takes place the same summer as the Ghost in the Sex Shop story. The guys that I moved in with, like, some of them were, like, journalists. They made, like, videos about, like, drug addiction awareness and harm reduction and all this stuff. Noble causes, to be sure. But the guys were a little loopy themselves with the drugs. But anyway, so we caught the attention of Time Magazine for Kids. And there was, like, a festival in Colorado. And we were like, will you guys pay for us to go to that? And they're like, we'll come talk to you and then we'll decide. And we're like, cool. So the morning they were going to come, me and, let's call him Peggy. He was like the leader. Peggy's a good neutral name. Me and Peggy went into the backyard to the shed and we smoked a couple bowls. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to go cook breakfast. So I was like, all right, I'll meet you down there, down in the basement where we had our office. Our office, we didn't tell our landlords that we put like shelves and desks in the wall and like all this stuff that they were like really mad about when they found out, but whatever. It was a cool office. So anyway, I go down there and Peggy is like stirring cold eggs in a cold pan. I was like, get the fuck out of here. So I made breakfast. Time Magazine guy showed up and we're making coffee. We're showing him videos we've made and projects we've done and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'll give you guys $500 to go to this thing. We'll give you one press pass. So it was only enough money for Peggy to go, which kind of sucks. But so that guy drives off. And then like not 10 minutes later, like we're looking out the window. Oh yeah. And there's a guy from the city of Grand Forks doing something in the ground. And then all of a sudden our water doesn't work. And we're like, what the fuck? And there was this other guy that lived there who was like, he was really brain damaged from like taking too much Adderall from a young age. Like when you like tell him stories, it was like a bad game of telephone. Like you tell him that like you did something and then like when he would repeat it back to you, it'd be like totally different. But he was in charge of the bills. And when we asked him, we were like, how come they shut our water off? And he's like, yeah, it was piling up and I just didn't want to bother you guys with it because we're broke. And we're like, bro. And actually my girlfriend at the time paid for our water bill. She doesn't know that. I told her it was for something else. Anyway. Okay, so Peggy got the money to go to this festival to do a video about harm reduction for drugs. And he goes to this festival and he comes back and he tells a story about he was there and he met somebody named Clyde. And Clyde was standing in line to get in the festival and he took some kind of synthetic DMT. And Clyde had a freak out and Clyde had to stay in the freak out tent all night. And so Clyde didn't get any footage for Time Magazine. So obviously the story was about Peggy, but he was like trying to like play it off like it was somebody else. But like the irony being that he's going to do a video about harm reduction with drugs, and then he does too many drugs and he can't do the video. So that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Peggy, after that incident, nobody told me that he was like schizophrenic when I first moved in. And then after he like did all those drugs at the festival, he came back and I would like come home and he'd be like wearing my clothes and like fucking going through my shit and just be like, you know what I mean? So we all started like moving the fuck out of there. Like all my favorite roommates moved out and then it was just Peggy, the Adderall guy, and then one other guy. So cheers.